Ever get that feeling like something's off, health-wise? Not quite sick, but off. Like maybe you get a little dizzy or vision goes blurry for a sec, but then no big headache. Could be one of these silent migraines we're diving into today.
Right, could be. People don't always realize migraines don't have to have the head-pounding pain part.
So what it's like, our brain's sending the SOS, but the headache alarm's busted.
That's it. Esophageal migraines, technically, brain's doing the same weird stuff, just minus the pain most folks expect.
Sneaky. So then, what are the alarm bells? What's it feel like with a silent migraine?
Oh, it's different for everyone, of course, but imagine everything going blurry mid-conversation.
Whoa, seriously.
Yeah, or sudden dizziness, like the room spinning. Some folks get nausea, sensitivity to light or sound. Wild stuff.
Makes sense why it's called an invisible illness, then. If there's no big headache, others might not get how rough it is.
Totally, and it's got to be so confusing for the person going through it. Like, what's even happening to me,
And speaking of what's happening, our source material's pointing at a link between these silent migraines and, get this, anxiety.
Ah, yeah, the old vicious cycle.
Vicious how? So I'm anxious, then I get a migraine.
It goes both ways, see?
Yeah.
Having a silent migraine, it's unpredictable, disruptive. That alone can make anyone anxious.
Sure, I'd be freaking out if my vision went blurry out of nowhere.
Exactly. But then, that anxiety itself, it makes your body more likely to have another silent migraine later.
Wait, really? So it's not just in my head. Anxiety is actually doing something to my body.
Oh, absolutely. Anxiety kicks off fight or flight mode, right? Muscles tense up, blood flow goes wonky, brain chemicals go haywire. It's all a recipe for a migraine.
So hold on, I gotta ask. If my own anxiety can, trigger a silent migraine, does that mean I've got some control over this whole thing?
There you go.
Right.
We might not always control what life throws at us, right? But how our body reacts to it, that we can work with.
Okay, so how? What have we got?
Well, our source material's got a whole list, but top of the list, sleep. Got to emphasize this one big time.
Sleep, huh? Like more sleep, better sleep.
Both. Think of your brain. It's a supercomputer, yeah. Needs its downtime, its maintenance cycle, good consistent sleep. That's hitting the reset button.
Makes sense. Running on fumes, something's got to give eventually.
You got it. Plus, sleep keeps those hormones in check. And we know hormone swings love to trigger migraines.
Right. So sleep's one. What about exercise? Our source materials seem pretty into that, too.
Huge one. And it's not about becoming a marathon runner overnight, just regular movement, Exercise is like anxiety's kryptonite.
Oh, how so?
Endorphins, my friend. It's a mood booster, plain and simple. Less stress, better mood. Both good things when migraines are on the line.
Double whammy. I like it. Speaking of which, any tips on dodging those triggers in general?
Yes. Our source material wants us all to become migraine detectives, it says.
Migraine detectives. Sounds kind of fun, actually.
Right. Instead of dreading them, it's like, okay, let's solve this case.
Yeah.
What were you doing, eating, feeling in the hours before the migraine hit?
So track everything, look for patterns?
You got it. Maybe lack of sleep's your downfall. Maybe it's that extra cup of coffee, maybe. Certain smells set you off. You never know till you track it.
And once you know, then you can avoid it, right?
Exactly. Knowledge is power, my friend. But gotta be real. Sometimes lifestyle changes aren't the whole picture.
So what happens when those lifestyle changes? They're just not cutting it. Source material mentioned getting professional help. That seems like a smart move anyway, right?
Definitely. Huge thing to remember. Zero shame in getting help for this. It's about taking charge of your health, not giving up or anything.
Right, makes sense. So what's that look like health-wise?
Well, depends. Everyone's different. Migraines are different. Source material mentioned basic stuff first, like over-the-counter pain meds.
Right, the usual suspects.
Yeah.
But if those aren't working...
Then you go further. There are prescription meds specifically for migraines. Triptans are one type. Or sometimes it's anti-nausea meds that help. Go figure.
Wow, so many options. Getting kind of high-tech with it, huh?
It is. And for folks with really frequent silent migraines or super severe ones, source material even talked about preventative meds.
Preventative? Whoa, like stopping them before they start?
That's the idea. Beta blockers get used sometimes, even some antidepressants, believe it or not. It's all about finding what works.
Sounds like teamwork then. You and your doctor figuring out the best plan.
100%.
Yeah.
And speaking of teamwork, this is where tech gets really cool, I think. Remember us talking about migraine detectives, tracking all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Get on my little notebook, write it all down.
Right. Well, there's this app, our source material actually recommended it, called Care Clinic.
An app just for migraines? What's that do?
Tracks everything, your symptoms, possible triggers, even how well your treatments are working. All in one place.
So it's like my own personal migraine diary, but on my phone.
Nailed it. And the best part, you can share with your doctor. Easy peasy. Keeps everyone in the loop.
This has been seriously so eye-opening. We've covered what silent migraines even are, how they're tied to anxiety, and most of all, that you can do something about it.
That's the key takeaway right there.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power. Being proactive is power. And between lifestyle changes, medical help, tech tools, you've got options.
100%. And hey, before we go, gotta leave you with this thought. Source material got me thinking. What if instead of dreading these migraines, we saw them as like messages from our bodies? Like, hey, slow down, pay attention, something's gotta change.
Ooh, I like that.
Right, maybe they're not the enemy. Just a wake-up call we haven't learned to understand yet. Something to think about, right?